Right, allow me to introduce our guest this morning. Of course, we want to look at the politics of the week that has been. And if you missed your dailies, the headlines last week, of course, I've got you covered as well, together with the editorial cartoons that will be just running also intermittently on the split screen. But allow me to introduce Dr. Shem Ochuodho, who is a global leader of Kenya Diaspora Alliance. Also, we do have with us Senator Samuel Poghisio, the senator from West Pokot. We have apologies here this morning from Professor Anyang' Nyong'o. He says could not get a flight to Nairobi last evening. All flights were full. He says he cannot make it also. Also, we have a regret also from Honorable Jeremiah Kioni Staki Nembu will not make it in the morning. Sorry. Also, we do have a regret from Member of Parliament this is Jared Okello. He says, my brother, I'm doubting if my voice will behave in the morning. He was running a flu yesterday, so he was in doubt if he will make it this morning. But nonetheless, we continue the conversation apace. Remember, you can hit us on Twitter. AM Live NTV is our Twitter handle. AM Live NTV is our profile name on Facebook. And 2686 is our SMS portal. Right, we just want to see what is on the front page of the Standard this morning. It's a bit shocking that in this country, we cannot just rest easy. We are always waiting for another shoe to drop. Right, and this is another shoe yet. Now it was sugar, now it is now rice. It was then sugar, now it is rice today. Dr. Shem Ochuodho, when you see such headlines, it seems also the safety of our food is doubt.
quite sad.
Mm-hmm.
Quite sad, Debarl. I think even as I laud the efforts that are being mounted to stem graft, I think we need to go much deeper. There is a moral decay that has to be addressed differently. I think, and I was glad, last week I was talking to the Cohesion Secretary.
Yes.
And he was heading to KICD, the Curriculum Development Institute, to work on a curriculum so that national values, cohesion and unity and integrity can be embedded in our educational system.
Yes.
I think we need to go deeper. And this is why I'm also glad that at the Dialogue Contact Group, the religious leaders are spearheading that effort to instill also national values into our ethos and into our national systems. Mm-hmm. So we need to go deeper, let the fight against graft continue. But this is shocking, like it is shocking to you.
All right, this is shocking. Is it shocking to you, Samuel Poghisio?
Very shocking. This is the extent to which corruption is eaten into our economy. And corruption is eaten into our health. And to the extent that nobody cares as long as you can make the buck, make money. And so we should forget about what we are trying to do ahead of us and address this matter first. This is the matter that needs to be addressed first. The matter of what are we eating? What are we feeding on? What is it that it's going to kill us before we do the big four? Mm-hmm. And so the focus should really go in there. Anybody found in this kind of situations, found in doing this kind of thing, bringing in poison. I think this is a point that we are making ourselves. Anyone, and if the government is fighting graft, this is a time to say anyone who is found in this kind of thing culpable should face the law. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the safety of what we normally eat now is questionable, because even when we expect the parliament to come up with a very concrete, solid report as far as the sugar report is concerned, they did a sloppy job, it has been rejected. Are we going to get any better report if maybe this also will go through under probe and we anticipate a report?
Debarl, I think I support those who are calling for sanctions against what's meant to be the August House. I really think, and I want to plead to the elected leaders and nominated leaders that they must pull up their socks, because what we have seen in the past 1 month is not what we expect of a house that's supposed to be honorable. You just wonder, where do Kenyans then turn to? If we can't turn to the legislature, then where do we turn to? I think it's very unfortunate. People who play with our money and play with our food, what Kenyans eat, and as Bana Senator here is saying, it's extremely unfortunate. They're not just making money corruptly, but it's like they don't care how many Kenyans die. You know, for people to be found packing poisoned rice or repackaging so that they unleash it into the market, that's really abominable. It's not permissible at all. And I'm hoping, like my colleague says, the full force of the law shall apply in this matter, because they're killing Kenyans. I think even as we talk about the rice, the matter of the matter of the sugar itself, you know, there was talk of mercury, there was talk of copper. Kenyans really don't know. And I think it's incumbent upon the concerned government agencies. They need to come out. If we can't trust the legislature, at least they are arms of government. They need to come out and tell us, is the sugar we are consuming, the rice we are consuming, is it safe? If it's not safe, then it better be removed from the shelves. Because we're playing with people's lives here. So I think a more punitive action needs to be taken, particularly when it comes to matters food.
Right. Which bring also to the fore the question about, I think there was a bill with the last parliament on food security bill, which was fronted by Senator then, British Elachi. I don't know what really happened to that particular bill. Has it tapered off, you know, off the radar completely? And do you think we should come up with such a pivotal bill in light of what is happening, especially with food security?
Debarl, I think first of all, there should be an audit of all the laws, the laws that have been, all the, you know, the bills or the acts of parliament, the laws that have been already enacted. Because I think we should begin to consolidate these laws to be sure that this is considered something like sabotage. I was out in Mwea to buy rice, okay, and the Mwea rice is very good rice, okay.
Yes.
But they can't compete with Pakistani rice. Now, that is perfect rice, the one in Mwea. It is our own rice, it's our own people. But if this comes in, of course, people go for poison, come to compete with our hard-earned, you know, rice, the rice of the rice that comes from our own people. And it becomes totally unfair. This is actually sabotage of our own economy. And so I'm thinking what that bill which was passed, plus others, we should really go into who can help us here except us in the House, you know, the parliaments. It is the parliament that must do this. Make sure that we pass strict laws that protect us from eating poison or even letting poison into the country. You know this thing that we're going to see very soon. People have been talking about the poor writing of reports, the corruption in Parliament. Parliament is just an institution, you know, like any other. And if there is corruption into Parliament, the same investigation should go into Parliament. If there is corruption in Parliament, the lifestyle audit should be done, and things like that. The same. We are the ones who are supposed to be the benchmark, actually. So we are going to have to talk very, very, very hard onto us ourselves, so that we don't allow the kind of things that are in the country now to kill our people. Yeah.
Dr. Shem Ochuodho, the food security, do you think we need another legislation in light of what is really happening to curb this particular sort of corruption that is happening, especially people tampering with a very sensitive issue like food in this country?
Debarl, on this matter, allow me to borrow from the wise words of Professor Chacha Nyaigoti, chairperson of the Commission on University Education. He says it's not for the lack of laws or policies. It's just that we have laws, but we don't implement. We don't comply with them. We have policies that we do not seem to apply. I'm just looking at Debarl, the recommendations that the Council of Governors made to the Sugar Investigating Joint Committee of Parliament. One of them, of course, they were raising the issues of what are the clear boundaries when it comes to importation of food. And I'm glad that food security is one of the big four that the president has pronounced. So really, one would have expected that there's a lot of effort, not only in terms of what we read in media or the attempts to contain graft and ensure we eat safe food, but also even in terms of budgetary allocation. I was expecting that for food security and agribusiness in the national budget that was read, I don't really know, maybe Samuel Poghisio will tell us. I don't know whether it has been passed or not, because it had a lot of loopholes, that budget. But one thing is, I didn't see sufficient provisions being made for the big four. Why? If these are the government's priority areas, I'd expected a little more. But the Council of Governors were suggesting, for example, the disbandment of the Agricultural Food Authority. And they were complaining about the boundaries, that agriculture is a devolved function. Again, Honorable Senator may enlighten us. To what extent has this function been devolved? The Council of Governors were asking they need to be also engaged. When food imports are coming in, they should also be consulted. I think that we need a radical approach, one, to save our industries. The other big four is, of course, industrialization and manufacturing. Obviously, there's no way we're going to promote our industries if we prefer to import. It's better for us to buy Pakistan than buy Kenya. So if that's going to be what we're going to practice, then of course our industries will never take off. So for me, I think we need to recognize that people who are illegally importing or importing substandard, particularly foodstuffs, are not only killing Kenyans, they are also sabotaging our economy. So this is why I must reiterate that more serious measures have to be taken to contain what's happening. The concerned agencies, I wouldn't be really sitting pretty if I was in some of those positions when you see all this is happening to Kenyans. Because just the other day it was sugar, today it's rice. We don't know what it's going to be tomorrow. Is it avocados or what? I think this is not acceptable.
Maybe it's going to be milk.
I know, I hope not.
Getting closer, really,
Yes.
to the kitchen.
Yeah.
So what is the way forward in terms of, because I think also when you talk about collapsing all these authorities into one, I think that was actually captured also in the food security bill, that we shall have one food authority, as opposed to many, many agencies that we know they don't work harmoniously. You're watching This Is a Point here on AM Live. We continue your pace with the conversation. And of course, I'm holding court this morning with Senator Samuel Poghisio from West Pokot. Also, we have with us Dr. Shem Ochuodho, who is a global leader of Kenya Diaspora Alliance. Apologies from Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, Honorable Kioni, and also Member of Parliament Jared Okello as well, who they could not make it this morning. We continue the conversation, and we want to know also from your own estimation, what do you think about today's headline on the front page of a Standard as far as the poisoned rice is concerned? Alarming story there on the front page of a Standard. As we said earlier, that we here in the country, we cannot always wait for the other shoe to drop, right? We come from one tragedy to the other. 1 million bags of poisoned rice netted, scoop of death, it says. Shock in Mombasa as detectives find workers at poultry packaging toxic rice from Pakistan. Agency indicates substandard cooking oil from Malaysia could also be on the shelves. And we have all this in the grip of cartels. So they are saying syndicates working with rogue customs officials who facilitated entry of rice. Cartels printed new bags with fresh expiry dates and repackaged it ready for sale. Also changes, dominant intelligence could inform major changes at KABES, KRA and KPA. Also prosecutions, 8 government officials working at the port charged with releasing 10,000 bags of substandard brown sugar. On reforms as well, KABES and KRA have imposed new rules that require all goods destined for Kenya to be verified at source. That is the story that you want to follow there inside the Standard today. And this is quite alarming and, of course, disconcerting in the country where food security should be a paramount, of course, issue. And concerned authorities, they need to act decisively on this as well. Maybe we could also just bring the question of, or I can read 1 or 2 tweets that we have here. We have Frank Oriende. He's saying on Twitter, we have enough legislations and laws to deal with issues food security, corruption, etc. The only problem we have is corruption. Those in authority or entrusted with implementation are so corrupt to an extent they gamble with our lives. Then we have Edwin also on Twitter. Wow, someone is determined to kill Kenyans, he says. He's shocked as well. Also, we have Frank Oriende again saying, from contraband sugar to poisoned rice, these are the bitter fruits of corruption. Failure to take action on the sugar issue will give birth many other things, since cartels are confident of the protection. Sorry state of affairs, he says. Moses Kiprotich, he says, we need as neighbors to stay alert to prevent this killer disease. This is all about Ebola that we also highlighted, that has been discovered, or Ebola scare in Uganda so far. But still on this, we understand even, I think it was reported 2 weeks ago that also some drugs, they were actually discovered at the other ports that had been expired. Yeah, and this was actually coming into the country as well. So it seems when it comes to public health, there's a weaker chain somewhere that needs to be addressed. Poghisio?
Yes, if you want to really destroy an economy, you can destroy the workforce through allowing them to be sick and they're not accessing proper medical care, or making medical care extremely expensive for them so that they cannot actually work. And so we are actually destroying what would then build our economy. And I would like to urge the government to focus on that area so that our health care system meets the need of our people. And especially the people who cannot afford insurance, the people who cannot afford NHIF. I mean, NHIF, really, even NHIF is still expensive for some people. Until the rollout of the universal health coverage, we will still have a lot of people who are far removed from the possibility of cover. And so, and our workforce, Kenyans really are farmers, they do activities, and they need to be healthy. So I do wish that we turn our attention to the health of our people and focus on this thing called health.
Yeah, Samuel Ochuodho.
Debarl, I think it's important to look at the entire supply chain. And it's in this regard that I'm glad that we're going now to test and certify imports before they at source. I'm surprised that we have not been doing that, because then how do you know what's coming in? Because by the time it docks in Mombasa, for instance, it will be too late.
Yes.
So we need to look at the entire chain. Why do I say this? It's always good also to hear the other side of the story. These people that were found in Mombasa packaging the rice, did they know that the rice they were packaging is poisonous? Maybe they were innocent workers. They probably, even the importer himself may have been innocent. He may have assumed that this is okay. I'm not, of course, vindicating him or her, because we don't know. Until an audit is done, looking at the entire chain, at what point did this malpractice occur? Was it at source? Was it on high seas that the products delayed for too long before they were consumed? Or where, at what point did it happen? So I think we must look at that entire chain and clean it all up. Then again, in terms of health, universal health coverage, I think and in this regard, I think Kenya National Bureau of Statistics has been doing a commendable job, but we perhaps need to interrogate more. The trouble is, although it's commendable, government launched what we call the big data. To what extent do we use data that's available? For example, in a year on average, how many Kenyans do we lose through road carnage? I think they're quite substantial. How many through disease? How many through poison, like we are now seeing? Because then we know where to target our interventions. If we know that the bulk majority are dying on our roads due to carnage, then we must, as a country, go all out. How do we minimize? Prevention is better than cure, we are told. Minimize those road carnages. In terms of treatment, I must commend the relationships that, and of course the aggressive foreign diplomacy that the president is mounting. I'm glad he'll soon be going to the US. But I also am alive to the fact that the Turkey government has set aside a fund to deepen its collaboration with Africa, including Kenya, particularly, for example, in the health space, India, and so on and so forth. The interesting thing is that some of the medication that our people go out to receive could be provided right here in Kenya. And I want to compliment those who are making efforts, the county governments and the national government, the efforts that are being made for technology transfer so that we minimize the cost, the money, because we spend a lot of money for what some call health tourism, or even just sending people outside for treatment. So the universal health coverage, my appeal, which I made earlier on, is let's involve the professionals. I know we brought in the Cuban doctors, but I had complaints from the Doctors Union, from the Kenya Medical Association. To what extent do we involve our professionals? Not that it's bad. I think it's commendable. Cuba is well known in this area of universal health coverage, even in quality health care. But it would have made a lot of difference, you know, if we did consult and then our experts and our professionals got the buy-in, because there is a win-win in this regard. It also helps us deepen our foreign and international relations. But yes, in terms of food and security, I think much more needs to be done.
Right.
Well, let me just weigh in on something that bothers me quite a bit, which is the silo mentality. If the agency is responsible for, you know, allowing things into the country, can do for one area, for example, the vehicles, okay? All motor vehicles are inspected at source. And there's a strict 8-year rule that you cannot import a car older than that. And that is inspected at the source. Then the same institutions allow people to bring anything without inspecting at the source. And so I'm just wondering how long. Now, when medicine is now, you know, we've talked about rice killing us.
Yes.
But now expired medicine is even faster.
Yes.
Sure. It's going to kill us even faster. So I'm just saying that if the standards are there for vehicles and for other commodities, why can't we just make it universal? Anything that's coming into Kenya. I know these rules have just started, but they're the same agencies who have been doing this for years. You wonder how come this is an afterthought when it should have been a forethought, really. And I just want to think that we should start now thinking how we sustain the health of our people for better productivity. I think it's everybody's concern. This thing about corruption should now be fought, but I'm saying, if you know exactly the right thing to do, why can't we plan to do the right thing from the beginning?
And I want to also hear what our viewers have to say in regard to what is on the front page of Standard today in regard to the poisoned rice. Right, if you may just pick up that so that they can see. Yes, just call in, ask questions, and share your contribution this morning. Are you taking special umbrage with what is happening in the country as far as food security is concerned? What is on your table today? So it might be suspect. They're saying even maybe the oil is contaminated. Maybe the rice also now is poisoned. Now, this is a fact. They say 1 million bags of poisoned rice netted. Call in. The numbers will be up on the screen momentarily for you to call in, ask questions, and share your contribution. We want to hear how angry Kenyans are when they wake up to, you know, such headlines every day. Right. So remember also to head over to our Twitter handle, which is AM Live NTV, and AM Live NTV also is our profile name on Facebook. 20686 also is our SMS portal. Right. While you still await your calls, we will continue to look at the headlines of last week, unless Dr. Shem, Ochuodho, you have to say something. I can see you straining at the leash. Yes.
Just briefly, I wanted to say on the frontline page we are looking at there, 1 million bags of poisoned rice netted. Even as we castigate those who have been culpable in this matter, it's also important that we compliment the officers who netted this, because they could easily have been compromised.
Yes.
You know, particularly if we are talking of 1 million bags, we don't know how much the owners may have been willing to pay. The fact that these Kenyans stood firm and said, look, no, this is a matter that's concerning, it must go to the public. I think we need to commend those officers.
Okay. Right. Senator Poghisio, you wanted to say something?
No, it's just that as we move into involving the people out there, it's also important to listen, to compound all the things into what can be done, what solutions are there, and even cases. If you could just hear from people who are suffering, how far have these expired drugs penetrated our hospitals? And if you think you've captured a few in Mombasa, how many more have gone interland into places far and wide, places where you cannot even confirm if they're expired or not. So I'm just saying people should call in and say if there are issues. If there are issues and they know where these things are, we could trust them, just like the way we track the sugar. We should also track where expired medicines have gone.
Right, thank you. All right, call in, ask questions, share your contribution. In the meantime, we continue also with a look at last week's headlines. That this was on the front page of a Daily Nation, United Against Evil. And they'll be running momentarily for you as well. There you go. United Against Evil. We just want to talk about also, as we're looking at this particular headline, could we talk about the Building Bridges initiative so far? Because we are given to understand also that particular initiative is yet to take off because of issues of funds. The Treasury has not released funds as we can speak, and they're saying this is not really a matter of, it was a presidential initiative, so it should be coming from the presidency. So there's that row that is ongoing right now, and now we have this initiative that is caught in between. When will it take off for this Building Bridges initiative? Dr. Shem Ochuodho.
Okay.
All right.
Shem can weigh.
Debarl, anybody who is playing with BBI, the Building Bridges initiative, is playing with fire. Kenyans, maybe human beings tend to forget very fast. But it's barely a year. In fact, it's less if we consider that the handshake came about on 9th of March. So it shouldn't be too long ago that we forget where we were. We are on a precipice. We were almost tipping over. So for anybody to play with the Building Bridges initiative, and this is why I was questioning the issue of the budget, the last budget that was read. I had expected that the budget would have been aligned to the government priorities. The big four, I didn't see how much. I'd expected that those 4 items, food security, universal health coverage, manufacturing, and affordable housing, that you would have seen, perhaps with the exception of affordable housing, where one expected it to be more private sector driven, and also manufacturing. But for the other areas where you'd expected government to be playing a more substantive role, I'd expected to see a spike in terms of budgetary provision going high. But I didn't see that. The same to the BBI. And I think on this platform, some of us questioned. I'd expected to see a budget being made for the BBI. How come this was not provided for? So is it a case where the left doesn't know what the right hand is doing? Or it's probably what, when we met Kenyan diaspora leaders in London 2 weeks ago, they had this kind of guarded optimism, saying, is government really genuine to fight graft?
Yes.
We are hoping they are genuine. Could it be that there is lack of genuineness? But I want to believe for now that the president, the deputy, and all the leaders are genuine in what is being done. It's only the CS, Henry Rotich, who can tell us how come there were no commensurate provisions. Of course, I am no spokesperson, and I don't hold brief for the BBI. I'm not even a member, so I don't know what's going on. But why are they not moving? Is it because of resources not being provided? At least the media says so. When we were at one of the Nairobi hotels last week, we met them. That's when we were unveiling the non-state counterpart, which is meant to complement what the BBI is doing as a government initiative. Of course, we didn't interact officially. But yes, you get a feeling that there's a bit of frustration. I think whoever is trying to frustrate, I'm hoping it's not deliberate. This needs to be sorted out. I want also to make a passionate appeal to partners that the way they have worked with Kenyans before, and I'm glad I'm saddened we are talking about this at a time that we are mourning Kofi Annan. We recall that 10 years back we were in that spot. But I'm happy that this year we didn't have, it was a homegrown solution that the President and Excellency Raila Odinga brought about that has given us this with tranquility that we enjoy today, but we need to anchor it both in law but also in action by the handshake, the 9-point agenda. If you allowed me at one point to talk about the dialogue contact group, we have prioritized 5 of those areas, including the fight against graft. I think Kenyans must stay this path. The Treasury needs to provide resources for it. I think it's not a question of choice. We just, unless we want this country again in 2022 to go to abyss. But short of that, I am hoping that at some point the BBI Secretariat themselves are going to come out to tell Kenyans, look, this is where we are. Be truthful. If there's a problem, maybe even Kenyans can be called upon, even if every Kenyan gave 10 shillings or whatever, because there are Kenyans who may not mind chipping in. If it's resources that's required, I think the point I'm belaboring about is let's prioritize this handshake over anything else, because it's what will determine our future. We have a lifetime opportunity to fix this country and have the Kenya we want. We should not squander it.
Well, it appears maybe the handshake was, bolted out of the cage before preliminary preparations actually were there, right? In regard to resources, financing, because we are given to understand, according to reports, that yes, they meet in hotels, but one also of, so to speak, the custodian of this particular big initiative says yes, they have an office at NHIF buildings. I think NHIF building, 15th floor there, but they don't seem to be reading from the same script. The two officials as well. So if it is underfunded or there are no resources again, and of course we have a 1 year period that we should get a report from them. So this will actually, we are talking about a delayed realization of the initiative. Senator Poghisio.
I'd like to support Dr. Ochuodho's opinion on this, that anyone playing with these initiatives, or if there's an attempt to delay or derail, is actually is trying to change the way that we have hoped that there will be peace and continue to have peace. But I do give the government the benefit of the doubt under this particular budget. I think this has been a very tight budget, and I think that we've had it said that some of the things that are being prioritized right now, will benefit from maybe a supplementary budget which is coming, so that they can begin to move on. I think the BBI is on the front burner. I don't think it's in the back burner, and I think that while there may be shortages of funds, the members are working, and I think it's given to them to work, so that whatever report they're producing, because I know that they're organizing, for example, that we and I hope that we're going to be a part and parcel of it, that they will bring us together on this issue of corruption and other issues, meaning they're working. They want to start by bringing in and involving the public. That's what we've been asking.
Yes.
Say, when is the public going to be involved? Now that we are going to hear from them, if they were not funded, we might have also have heard from them.
Yes.
Apparently, they're working, and I think they're moving on, and so we give the government the benefit of the doubt, and knowing that it's one of the things that they wish to prioritize. I don't think that it can be in the back burner. Kenyans can't be that patient. I mean, Kenyans also like to see the handshake,
working out
as it was meant to be.
Right.
We're already beginning to see the fruits of that, and so please don't distract us now.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, we have callers who are hanging on the line. Of course, they want to weigh in on the issue of sugar. Just to remind you, if you're joining us this morning, this is what is headlining the front page of the Standard today, and also is the basis of our discussion here on AM Live. A million bags of poisoned rice netted. Scoop of death. Shocking in Mombasa as detectives find workers at poultry packaging toxic rice from Pakistan. Agency indicates substandard cooking oil from Malaysia could be on the shelves as well. And this story is well fleshed out for you on page 4 of the Standard today. We have Matthew hanging on the line. Good morning, Matthew. Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning, Pat.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'd like to make a comment on the imports of the substandard food. And
Yes.
you see, most of these things, they seem to be affecting the health part.
Yes.
And we have various agencies at the entry point. But it seems much focus is just being put on KEBS alone.
Yes.
And I believe KEBS is not competent enough
Yes.
to carry out. We have various agencies, like if you talk of plants and plant material, we have SAFE, we have Pharmacy and Poisons Board, who deal with the drugs, and we also have portal services,
Yes.
who deal with the foodstuffs. I think maybe the way focus is being strong.
Okay.
That's my comment on it.
Thank you, Matthew, calling there from Eldoret as well. We have another caller hanging on the line. Oh, I think we've lost him, but we shall read some of your comments also on social media. We have Joseph Odanga asking, You mean with all the crackdown, someone still has guts to import poisoned rice? Right. God forbid. This is what Joseph Odanga Ja Osianda is saying. Also, we have Samuel Alex Oduk, I should say. He's asking, it's true, the officer, is saying it's true, the officers could have been compromised, but will this come to pass? I think someone is sleeping on the job. That is Samuel. Also, we have Mangi Josiah. The question should be, how much of this rice is out there in the market? It will be naive to assume that it's yet to find its way to the market. And also, we have Joanne there. Oh, this is just a compliment for Shem Ochuodho, should be the Undersecretary in charge of Affairs of Diaspora, right? A good comment for you for this morning as well. But remember just to also comment on that particular question that we asked you. This is in regard to the poisoned rice that we're talking about. Our numbers still will be up on the screen for you to weigh in and comment. What do you reckon as far as the poisoned rice scare is concerned? So our numbers are there. Please call in. I think we'd lost a caller there, but of course we'll try and reconnect with you. Let's just continue with the conversation briefly. Just moving forward, and we'll go back to the building initiative, building bridges initiative that we were talking about. So we know right now there's so many issues that are coming to the fore as far as building bridges is concerned. And one of it, as we've mentioned, is the resources. Right. But have we been given the timelines? Because yes, we just told the one full scope of a year, that will be when we realize the fruit or, yes, the fruition of this particular initiative. Yeah. But what timelines do we have? Because we've never seen a proper schedule as far as this building initiative is concerned, where the meetings will be, how also the public will be roped in, right, in the BBI that we are talking about.
Debarl, allow me to agree with callers and those who commented us. I think a point that Matthew was making is that we're talking about, let's look at the entire supply chain. There are the various agencies of government. Of course, we can't focus only one. They all are part of that chain, and that's why we were saying, let's look at that entire chain from source, where the products are sourced, up to the time they go even on our shelves, where people consume them. Mm-hmm. I also wanted, of course, thanks to the caller who is wishing me well.
To the tweet.
But more importantly is, and I think Debarl, even as the crime investigating agencies, the multi-agency team is looking for people who are culpable to be tried, to be prosecuted. I think when it comes to matters of food, the concerned agencies also needed to have a parallel multi-agency, I think, as one of the tweeters is suggesting, mm-hmm, so that it establishes the food that we Kenyans are consuming. How safe is it? You know, even for a visitor that, or those who are planning to come to Kenya, and they see all this, and these matters are left in abeyance, they are not conclusively decided on. Is the food safe? Is the sugar safe, or it's not? Or we just consume, people don't care. I think it's incumbent upon the leadership, the executive, that let there be a multi-agency team that is going to establish, whether it's KEFIS, whether it's the Food and Drug Agency, or the Food and Poison, and so on, and so, whichever institutions it is, KEBS and whatever, let them tell us, let them go hunting for food that's not fit for consumption, mm-hmm, remove it from our shelves so that we are covered. We are protected. In terms of you asking timelines for the BBI, I fully agree. Maybe there are some people who hope that Kenyans, you know, have got a way of forgetting over a period of time. There are those who believe that Kenyans have since moved. The part of the world I come from, Debarl, I want to say, without any fear of doubt,
yes, that
people are still hurting. In fact, it was very clearly visible when the Christmas Sando was being commemorated, that there is still that anger. At this time, we still don't know who killed Christmas Sando. I must mention that one of the 5 priority areas for the Dialogue Contact Group is security reforms. This push that the former Chief Justice has christened Stop Killing Our People. I think it's very unfortunate when life seems to lose meaning, that people just get killed like chicken and they just disappear. And more, I know there have been recently cases of, I think it was in Baringo, where an MCA just disappears. We must find a way to bring a stop to these extrajudicial killings. And where they have occurred, let's get deep down to establish who are the perpetuators, and they be brought to book. And where need be, they be compensated. Because the victims of post-election violence, whether it's 27, 27, 28, or 2013, we don't seem to have addressed that issue, but we need to. So as we try to heal the country, you know, we can't only heal some parts of the country,
yes,
and we forget those who are victims of the post-election violence.
Thank you. Senator Poghisio, I wanted just also to comment on what is on the front page of the People Daily, where senators have been caught up in 100 million shillings bribery claim. This is in light of what we've been discussing here, and I think Senator Okongo Mogini is a pity that he's not here today, that he's away in Kisii. He couldn't also make it to the show today, but he was just stoutly denying that there's such things happening also in the in the Senate. But here is a case now where we have a new twist. Ruaraka landowner gives police tape recordings of 4 emissaries allegedly soliciting the cash to write favorable reports. How do we trust you as legislators now in light of what is happening? It seems that you're actually in the Senate or maybe in the National Assembly just to feather your own nest. You don't really care a fig about what is happening to the public. When it goes to show with the headlines that we have, it goes to show on the headline that we have on the Standard when it comes to sugar, this report will come on your desk and still people will, exchange money. Your hands will be greased. Then we'll have a shoddy report. It will be shot down. At the end of the day, you'll have spent so much money. 20 million shillings, what you're talking about, the sugar report that has just gone down the tubes. So there is no nobility of character as far as the legislators we have in the Senate. And I'm not saying that all of you are bad. There's some of you who are actually, of questionable characters within Senate and the National Assembly.
Yes, Debarl, these reports about corruption in Parliament should not cloud the good work that Parliament is doing at the same time, and especially the Senate. We pride ourselves of being, the House of Union, literally the one that equalizes all Kenyans. So I do hope that these reports which have come up will not be used to distract that or to spoil that image. But having said that, I like to say what I said before. Parliament is just an institution like any other, and if there are corrupt people in Parliament, we should go after them. And if this person has a recording of what happened, obviously we will get to know. And at that point, parliamentarians should be, strong enough to say, if I am the one who has been mentioned, I'll pull out of that committee or pull out of chairmanship or find a way. And members of Parliament should now know that this cheap way of trying to get negotiate for bribes with technology now,
beware.
Beware. And in fact, there's no more place to meet if you want. In fact, where will you meet now that there's no recording? So just know. But we would be very, very glad to know who are these members of the Senate, because this report, which is coming out of Ruaraka from the Senate, has been touted as one of the best reports. But now, to be clouded by this, it may be true, but if it is true, those involved should be punished. If it is also not true or is being used to derail something else, the report is already public. It's only just waiting to be debated, but it is already out. It's been finalized. So I'm hoping that we were hoping that the Senate will not be caught in this kind of thing.
Yes.
And hopefully,
you've been drawn
and I'm a member of that house. I like to say that I hope we maintain the Senate as the sober place, not to be caught up with this kind of
right.
things.
So you think it might be also a smokescreen? If you say that the report looks very credible, the veracity of it can be trusted, and then we have such headlines, maybe it's just to derail, the veracity of it in the first place.
No, we can't dismiss it. because it's supposed to be recordings, which means it's there. And if it is true that this gentleman has given the recording to DCI, then there is something in it. But that should not be used to derail the fact that a report has been written, which seems to bring out the issues. And so I'm hoping, and I know the team that went out there, one or two may have, I don't know, may have been caught up in the camera or whatever it is, but they need to know that they destroy all of us. Yeah, I mean, you know, you can't have a face after that. So it's something that I have actually thought that parliamentary group meetings should be held very soon to speak to members of these parliamentary groups about committees. Since we already have a bad publicity on this, we should actually call parliamentary group meeting and deal with the members who are prone to this kind of thing. Okay. So I'm hoping that very soon we'll have those meetings.
Debarl, I think I have a lot of respect for the legislature. You know, there's what we call the supremacy of parliament. And I want to believe there are a number of, or a lot of
I'm sorry
men
to butt
and
in,
women of integrity.
Dr. Shem Ochuodho, we have callers who are hanging on the line. Just hold on to your thought. We'll come back to you so that we don't have them dropped as well. We have Juki hanging on the line. Juki calling from Kitengela. Yeah, Juki, on the issue of the poisoned rice scare, what would be your question or your compliment this morning? Juki, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Morning. We can hear you. Continue. Your question, your contribution, sir?
Yes, sir, I'm quite surprised by this headline in the morning.
Yes.
Because it is really shocking to see how our foodstuffs are being ruined. And it seems that the government needs to reconstitute the camps because it seems they are failing somewhere.
Yes.
And it's also quite shocking to hear that the rice is being repackaged by still Kenyans with all this crackdown that is going on.
Yes.
Then it means that there's a lot of compromise with our officers who are working on our on those areas. Which, on my view, is that we need an overhaul to do with this multi-agency task.
Yes.
So that our stores may be safe. You can imagine we are fighting Al-Shabaab in Somalia. They can also change the tactic and decide to poison the whole population. That's my comment.
Thank you, thank you. That which is true when you're talking about bioterrorism. We have Lucas as well hanging on the line. Good morning, Lucas.
Yes, good morning, Adbear.
Morning.
Yes, I want to comment. And now I'm around 40 years old.
Yes.
Since I was around 30 years old, we used to work in Mombasa in Godown.
Yes.
And there we used to package such a kind of rice. Long time ago, you can imagine.
You used to package?
Yeah, I used to work in a Godown. We could see how rice is brought, rice that is supposed to be disposed in the ocean.
Yes.
Then somebody buys that rice at a cheaper price. Then we come in the Godown, we are made, we repackage that rice, you see? And then the rice ends up into shops. The rolls come back, the rice, some go to Nairobi, some to everywhere at the shop. In the first thing, what I'm telling you, Bear, is that this is the food that we have been consuming as Kenyans. Poisonous food for a long time. It's not that you and TV now, you are coming up to approve this evil. This kind of sugar that we see, we have been using the poisonous sugar for a long time at the Bear.
Yes.
The problem with the Kenyans is Kenyans are out for money, even members of parliament. When you give them money, they can make anything evil to be holy, so long as you have money. There you can recall how Al-Shabaab came to Kenya. Al-Shabaab came to Kenya because people working the borders, they are out for money. If Al-Shabaab came with millions of money, if there's an officer, he wants an entrance, the officer can give him a leeway because money is available. The problem with the Kenyans, we are man-oriented, not for life. We are not after Kenyans' life. Please, please, please. I'm so bitter.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. You are showing these things off now.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you. Thank you so much. And of course, Lucas raises a very important question that, issue that this has been actually ongoing for quite a while right now. And when, as a country, we talk about the burden of cancer, we have all insecurities in our food, in the air. We have, people dumping, unwanted goods in the country, which are meant to be, not consumed by the public, but still they end up in our shelves. Yes?
Even as brother, so long as you pay money, your drugs that's expired will be written not expired. So long as you pay money, I'm wondering.
Thank you, Lucas. That is pure greed, right? And this is for the longest time then, and we wonder what is really causing a lot of, as I've mentioned, the burden of cancer in the country as well.
I think, Debarl, no wonder our health bill is so high, because there are many things that we don't seem to know what goes into our body. But allow me to compliment Lucas, because this is the appeal we have been making. I think Mheshimiwa Poghisio made it very clear. A passionate appeal to Kenyans. This fight against graft, government alone cannot win it. Neither can private sector alone. It must be a collective effort, also with ordinary Kenyans like Lucas, coming out to say this is what's been going on. I think we remember when President Kibaki and NAK came to power, and Kenyans were the ones who were arresting traffic police. I think if we can go back to that stage, and that's only possible when Kenyans like Lucas and other patriots buy into this fight, this national fight against graft, this fight against impunity, and this fight against Kabila. Let's take it as our own, so that if not for ourselves, but for posterity and for our children. But before the callers came in, Debarl was talking about the sanctity of parliament and also maybe Senate as the symbol of our national unity. I was saying there are many respectable men and women in the Senate and in the National Assembly. I think it's incumbent upon them so that they're not soiled by these few bad eggs. I would want to believe, I know a number of them who are men of impeccable integrity and women.
Yes.
I think they need to go all out. They can hear the concern of Kenyans and the anger and the outrage. Let the many good members of parliament come out so that we excise this evil of the few bad eggs. Because if we allow parliament to go to the dogs, we are done.
We're done. All right, I can read also some of the reactions here, unless Samuel Poghisio, you have something to say before I do that. We have Kanyi Gioko saying, before the alleged mercury saga, sugar prices had stabilized to between 90 and 100 shillings per kilogram. After the choreography, the prices shot to a minimum of 160 per kilogram within 7 days. Therein lays your detective 101 glaring clue. All right, don't be taken, he says. That is Kanyi Gioko. Also, we have Ochuodho Pascal Al-Amin. Try falling sick in Kisumu. They don't work on weekends. You have to fall sick between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Of course, he's alluding to what we were talking about, the public health and the NHIF, scandal, where they have bloated bills if you have the NHIF card. Right. Also, we have Nathaniel Arap Chumo saying continuing series of scandals is mind-boggling. Thank media and security agencies should save citizens from revealed poisonous food items. Also, we have Chesoli Protest saying a corrupt leadership that tolerates and entertains impunity will allow any kind of harm to the citizens, including poisonous food. We have also Chola Junior saying, I've always have respect to senators, but kumbe ni chui amevalia ngozi ya kondo. Right, Senator Poghisio, today you guys have been caught. Then we have also Ed saying, what is the difference between a person convicted of attempted murder and someone who wants to sell 1 million bags of poisonous rice to unsuspecting Kenyans? A probing question there, searing one from Ed, that is Nyandong. Also we have Rumors Transfer 24/7. This is we was watching from abroad, and he says great morning, great morning show, watching from abroad. Thank you so much. And we have also I think I read that, and I did read that as well. But you can comment on those reactions. Senate,
yes.
Nyinyi ni chui, and the guys of Kondo.
No, I think my comment is that we need to strengthen the Senate. That's all. We need to make the Senate the proper upper house.
Yes.
the House that can then check on whatever other things. Make Senate a house of promise, a house of dignity. And I think as we reorganize that, we also must reorganize the National Assembly. As I said, we must rein in on those who are corrupt. There are few, there are not many, and in fact there are many people who are dignified and are honorable.
Yes, let's hear from Dr. Shem Ochuodho. Maybe and on the issue of dumping,
right.
And we've heard this also from Lucas. He has confirmed this, that he used to work,
right,
you know, at the port, and he's seen this. So maybe these sugars are meant to be dumped in the sea.
Right.
They're repackaged. They're taken, you know, back into the market, and we have them in our shelves for over 10 good years. He says it's 40. He used to work there when he was started. So for over 10 good years, this has been ongoing. It's when that we are highlighting this. I tend to wonder, do we also question some of these industries that we allow them to come into the country? We have so far had other car manufacturers, you know, assembling or bringing the assembling plants here in the country.
Right.
But in other parts of the world, we've seen there has been scandal of, you know, detective, lie detectors actually, that we,
Sure.
how do they call it? I can't remember.
The
trying
lie
to remember.
detectors? Or?
No, not lie detectors. Defeating devices, okay. Which are being implanted into this particular cars, so that they cannot give the true state of the NOx emissions. And we have some of these cars that we saw the expanse of them. People are wondering what will they do with these cars that had these defeating devices planted in them, and they were emitting all this NOx emission. And all of a sudden, again, in a ton of events, we have a plant that is, you know, here in the country. And people are saying, oh, this is a good industry that will give employment to the young Kenyans. But have we done our due diligence to, you know, go even further, to detect, to find if we have the proper equipment to detect if they still have this emissions that are very, very poisonous, and they are carcinogenics, like the NOx that I'm talking about. This is another form of dumping, in the form of putting assembling plants in the country to, you know, enable or have employment and have cheaper cars in the country. Have we interrogated that?
Debarl, for me, it boils down to Article 10 of our Constitution, the national values and principles of governance. That unless we embrace, unless there is honor in dignity and integrity, unless that's what we espouse, and we have a good value system, that we adore people for good manners, not bad manners like it is today, that is getting rich whichever way at any cost, I think we must turn upside down the narrative. And this is why I'm urging Kenyans. In the past, our major problem was leadership. Government was not leading from the front. The president has made it abundantly clear, at least for now, and his deputy and Excellency Odinga, they're leading from the front. This is why we must also keep the most on fire, so that we together go to the very end, that let's bring back sanity into our various sectors, particularly the medical and food sectors. Debarl, I feel very saddened when we are being told that medical supplies, which ordinarily cost 700 shillings, like you are reading, is being sold for 35,000 shillings. You know, I'm trying just to do their mathematics. In my mind, it's just going around 550, 500, 5,000. Surely, I mean, that's not acceptable. And I'd expected Kenyans to be more outraged than I'm seeing. I think the message that's coming out, and some of the callers and the tweets are amplifying this clearly, that it's very saddening that even when there's such major crackdown, there's still people with the boldness to still do what's clearly wrong. But allow me also to indicate that one of the things that our dialogue group, one of the areas prioritized was economic reforms and fight against graft. This is being led among the multi-sector groups by KEPSA, the private sector. And last week, the week before last, a multi-sectoral committee as a sub-component of the dialogue contract group that's purely dealing with anti-graft. In fact, I am alive that non-state actors have come up with a strategy to stem graft even in the private sector. It's only that there was agreement that you sometimes don't show the enemy the weapon you want to use.
Yes.
But I'm glad that private sector, civil society, academia, professionals are all coming out, and I want to encourage professionals more to come out, seize this opportunity to get things right. And I want to challenge them even more. We even need to professionalize our politics. If the professionals are going to step aside, if the good people, as it said, choose to step aside, then of course we allow the bad people to mess us up, like we are seeing. So I want to encourage professionals because we realize that politicians, political leadership and policy makers determine almost everything that involves us. Whether you are a researcher, an academic, or whatever you are, these guys, the parliament in particular, determine what we do. I think we need to professionalize even the politics.
Right. I just want to address the issue that, that brings me back to the parliament. Everything that we do, unless we have dignity in parliament,
Right.
We're going to have problems, because the parliament is supposed to probe all these areas. That's one. The second one is on the issue of fighting graft in the country.
Yes.
And the president and former prime minister are determined. Question is there buy-in from the ranks below them? Is there complete buy-in? And that's what they must work on. I believe they must work on what you could call a dream team to help them to fight this corruption. People of impeccable credentials, people whose character can be attested by many, that they can fight graft. Otherwise, if you are saying fighting graft at the very top, and the buy-in is not the very top, the very bottom, because take for example the people who are in these go-downs, and Kenyans who are there could easily tell us what else is in these go-downs. And we'd like to see Kenyans tell us. You think you found the rice, there's also this and that and that. We need to find out those things. So we need buy-in from everyone. And it's very important for us then to begin to address Wananchi, but also the rest of the ranks in government. Are they in on this fight? So that we don't leave it for just the dream team, the top two. We need to find out, even within cabinet or within the public service and all these things, is there total buy-in? If not, why don't we inculcate that buy-in so that everybody moves around with that idea that I'm here to fight graft?
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Samuel Poghisio. Thank you for coming through this morning, and also Dr. Shem Ochuodho. Your parting shots briefly before the 30 seconds. Let's just begin with you, Dr. Shem Ochuodho.
Mine, as we mourn Kofi Annan, the best we can do for him is to make sure that the handshake stays the course.
Thank you. Right. Samuel Poghisio.
For me too, I'm on Kofi Annan. And I was there in cabinet when he came in to help us. And I worked with him. I traveled the country with him to show him what was happening. And I know his commitment to fighting impunity. Let's celebrate even his passing on by way of doing the things that we promised Kenyans we would do.
Right. Of course, I want to thank you so much also for your valued company this morning. Just to read some of your tweets finally as we're winding up. Seram is saying the audacity of the people doing this kind of act is very shameful, and they keep doing it knowing they will get away with it. Also, Josh on Twitter is saying this could be a diversionary tactic by the sugar barons. And those we have also Joshua Joroga saying nowadays our MPs and traffic police have no difference, all corruptible. Also, we have Obat Masinde saying, I'm sorry for our country. We're in blankety blank there country where the strongest man take the day by eating his or a neighbor. The poison sugar which was seized by the police is also in the market. Also, we have Original Kisii saying Parliament is not like any other ordinary institution in the country. It is a house of honorable members, but MPs have turned it to house of corruption and impunity. They should resign. Shame on them. Lastly, let me just read also Jack Kombok is saying we are in critical crisis. Whatever we are reading and watching on the TV screen is what we call valleys or valley of deaths. But who's interested in killing us? Because we still don't know who imported the poisonous sugar. And now it is rice and cooking oil. I'm really disappointed with our MPs. And this is in light of what is headlining the front page of Standard today. I'll leave it with it. You should be saddened, as I am today. We're always waiting and seeing what will be the other shoe drop that will fall. Tomorrow it will be another headline. But this one, We need to put tails on it, and Kenyans need to be angry on what they're eating, what is on their table. If the food security is threatened, then the health of the nation is threatened. Thank you very much for your valued company. I'm Debarl Inea. Have a lovely day.